In 2018, I watched a 16-year-old girl, Greta Thunberg, get on a stage at a TED Talk in Stockholm, Sweden, and she asked the grown-ups to help. She said, "No one is working on climate like they should be. This is such a dire emergency." And I have to say, her words pierced me. I am the daughter of peace activists. My parents in 1983 went to Russia for the summer to make friends with Russians during the Cold War. They really showed me what it means to live a life of purpose and instilled that in me. I was raised in idyllic Boulder, Colorado, and nature was one of my best friends. I would shoot out the front door and clamber up the hill and grab a pine tree and look around the town. I would press my nose against the back glass and look at the little deer nestled in the apple tree, underneath the apple trees. I would run around with my friends with a bucket and a stick, and we would make stew with mud and plants.
Oh, yeah.
Nature was my slice of heaven. If I fast forward to 2006, Ashland, Oregon became my slice of heaven. And that is the year I saw a very powerful climate documentary that really changed the way I thought about climate. It's also the year my son was born. So motherhood swept me away, as did running my own web design business. But in 2018, when I saw this little girl with her braids crying for help, it was like getting cold water splashed on me. And I heard her, I heard Greta, and I decided to help out in any way I could. And if you know me, I go all in. So now began the climate experiments phase of my life. This is really fun. I got together with a group of friends and we called ourselves the Siskiyou Climate Crew. And we did 6 eco-challenges over 2 years. This is the first one. It was so sweet. Our kids named the teams. We had the Carbon Killers versus the Fantastic No Plastics. It was so great. I also went to City Council and I spoke there for the very first time. I had never done that before. I befriended our city climate analyst, Stu Green, and I asked about outreach, and he was the one to inform me that yes, the city of Ashland has a climate plan, which I was so excited to know that. He also encouraged me to take a science class. So in early 2020, I signed up with Southern Oregon Climate Action Now to take a Master Climate Protector course. So for 3 hours every Wednesday, this 30-hour course, I went and I learned about greenhouse gas emissions, what it looked like for carbon dioxide to rise, what my own individual footprint was. And in this class, I saw the slide that stopped me in my tracks. These lines are representative concentration pathways. They are climate change scenarios projecting future greenhouse gas concentrations. So here's where we are. Right here, in this smudgy spot where all these different possibilities lay ahead of us. But this one, the red line, it's called RCP 8.5, and that is the business as usual line. That is, if we don't do anything, that's where we're headed. I could not get this image out of my head. I thought to myself, gosh, 20 years ago, I was reading a National Geographic about a lake in Australia that had completely dried up. All you could see was cracked mud and a tiny little dinky boat at the bottom. And then I remember at the time thinking, that would be horrible. Well, fast forward to where we live, that happened in our very town. To Immigrant Lake, the water was so low, you could see creepy things down there. So if that's what's happening here, and this red line keeps going up, what does that mean for lakes all over the United States? all over the continent, all over the world. What does that mean for our fresh water supply, for us, for animals, for plants? I was like, this is bad. And so it moved me. And because not everyone has time or a science background, time to take a science class or a science background, we're going to do a tiny science class. So here is the nutshell. The scientific consensus is that 97% of scientists agree climate change is real. 97. That's a lot of scientists. It's caused by humans burning fossil fuels, natural gas, coal, and oil. Common greenhouse gases that you will hear about are carbon dioxide, or CO2, and methane, which is the main ingredient in natural gas. Greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere, which is warming the planet. Let's look at carbon dioxide over the last 800,000 years. So this line right here shows that for millennia, atmospheric carbon dioxide had never been above this line. Get over there to 1911 and pew, it shoots up. So much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Let's zoom in on that. Here's what we have from 1850 to now. And carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is causing the temperatures to rise, so everything's going up. And this is basically the Industrial Revolution, right? We've got steam engines that are burning coal, we've got power plants that are burning coal, we've got automobiles that are being mass produced, we're all stepping on the gas. So that's what we're looking at. And this right here, I was born in 1972. For the last 54 years, my life has been completely on an upswing. And that is the end of the tiny science class.
Very nice, thank you.
So in addition to the science, I quickly discovered we have some communication hurdles. So let's talk through a couple of them. Climate language is scientific and intimidating. Regular people don't have time to take a science class, nor should they need to in order to speak this language in order to enter into discussions. Celsius and 1.5 degrees are tricky for Americans, right? We think in Fahrenheit. 1.5 degrees, it doesn't sound like a big whoop. But it turns out that every 1/10 of a degree, like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, as it rises in Celsius, has massive climate implications. Greenhouse gases are invisible. Like, wouldn't it be great if they were like smudgy and purple or feathers, and then we could see them all over the place? But they're not. We can see the effects of them. So we can see drought, we can see wildfire, we can see smoke, but we can't see the gases. Brilliant cerebral scientists lead with data, which is amazing, but it doesn't necessarily capture your heart. Activists can be angry, which is totally understandable, but also, do you want to come to a party when the host is really pissed off? It's so dang polarizing and political. And then you've got the doom and gloom and existential threat, which is truly terrifying. So those are some hurdles. I then looked into who is working with climate change communication, and this Yale program on climate change communications is amazing. They do a Six Americas survey. This has been out since 2015. Anyone can get on their website and take this survey and see where you fall in the different categories. What I want to point out here is that the alarmed and concerned folks equal 52% of the United States population. The majority of us are worried about climate change. And another story I don't have a graphic for, but in the last 40 years, there have been tabulations of how many times climate change is mentioned in news media. 0.55%. So like minuscule. So the fact that this number is so big means that people are seeking out their own information, which is really exciting. I love this organization. They're called Potential Energy Coalition. They call themselves the marketing firm for planet Earth. And they talk about how to frame climate speak. So I love point number 1, talk like a human and save the world. Makes so much sense to me. Talk about the things that we're experiencing, like the price of insurance, weather damage, health and energy bills. Tap into the pride of protecting our homes. Talk about manageable, achievable, step-by-step progress. And the biggie is focus on what we all care about, love for future generations. So now that we've had a tiny science class, and we've looked a little bit at the communication hurdles and some of the good news, let's come back to Ashland in 2022 and talk about this really great organization that was formed called the Ashland Climate Collaborative. So this wonderful, passionate group of volunteers had deeply studied our climate and energy action plan, and they figured out the things that would make the biggest difference. So things like protecting from our homes from wildfire, clean transportation, compost, clean home energy, water conservation, and getting together with neighbors in climate clubs. And they formed these action teams in order to help with the outreach for this climate plan. Awesome. In 2024, they received a grant from the Oregon Health Authority, and it was enough to hire an executive director. So I had to think deep and hard, and I decided to close my beloved web design business of 22 years and throw my hat in the ring. And it worked, and they hired me. It was amazing to be able to take the climate change communication that I had been learning and bring it into this organization that was doing such incredible work right here in the community and really get the word out about how people could contribute. Alas, due to funding challenges that nonprofits are facing everywhere, we lost the funding for my position. And so good news, Ashland Climate Collaborative is still going strong, run by volunteers, amazing folks. But I have been unemployed for 3 months. And so, entrepreneur that I am, I decided to start the Climate Joy Project. And I would like you to join my climate party. So, uplifting, nonpartisan, inspiring, approachable, hopeful, non-judgy, action-oriented. We were all born into this world. And here it is, laid out like it is. Like, it includes cars. That's how we get around. You know, there's all these things built into modern day society. So I think to have it be non-judgy and non-pressure is super important in order to connect with people and say, hey, that's okay. Start where you are if this speaks to you. So one of the fun things that I am experimenting with Climate Joy Project are these great interviews I'm doing with local climate heroes. It has been so much fun to interview one person a week. Every Wednesday, one of these comes out. And I am just able to highlight some incredible work that's happening here in our town. So just to point out a couple, we've got Barb, who's in her 80s, who rides her bike everywhere. Her yellow bike, it's not an e-bike. She's just so inspiring. We have Flavia, who is there to talk about food solutions and collect your compost food scraps at the Tuesday Growers Market. Mike is teaching kids how to bike. It's an incredible group of people. I also want to point out Susie Garcia here from Rogue Climate. She is a regional director and right now as a passion project is working on a milpa, which is an indigenous garden where she is growing the three sisters, so corn, squash, and climbing beans. And her interview comes out next Wednesday. So, what can we do? What are the moves that we can make in order to have an impact collectively? Well, here they are. Clean transportation. So this is really about shifting from a way of how we were doing it to another method. So you can choose a hybrid, electric vehicle, biking, walking, carpooling, taking the bus. Our family, I ride my bike most of the time. My husband is sweet enough to cram into our tiny Chevy Bolt. And I had a fun carpooling story recently. I was going to a women's leadership conference about 45 minutes away. And I was like, okay, Erin, you're the climate lady. You should totally look into carpooling. So I stuck my neck out there on Facebook and was like, does anyone want to go with me? And two really awesome women were like, yeah, I'd love to. And it made the day even better than it would have been. So, there's some really great surprises when you're doing this. So clean home energy, shifting to energy efficient appliances, electrification. These are really great ways to clean up the pollution that we're generating. The biggest one is the gas furnace, and switching over to a heat pump makes a huge difference. So there I am by a sign that I have in front of, that is our mailbox covered in ivy. But basically it's a sticker for the appliances that I have in my home that are electric, which is cool. It's a way to make something that's kind of invisible in your house visible. Composting. So the deal with compost, food scraps, when you take them to a landfill and they get buried and sealed away from oxygen, they like fester and disintegrate, and they put off methane. So methane is that really potent greenhouse gas, and you'll often see like off-gassing stacks right next to a landfill, and those are for methane flares. That's how they're getting rid of the methane. To avoid that, you can compost at home, you can hire a compost pickup service, or you can drop off food scraps at our growers market. And yes, I do bike mine over there. There's clean landscaping tools. Two-stroke gas engines are super polluters. And so I think this graphic is just incredible. From the California Air Resources Board, 1 hour of gas lawnmower use is equivalent to driving 300 miles from LA to Vegas. 1 hour of gas leaf blower use is like driving 1,100 miles from LA to Denver. And it's also so toxic for the people who are, running the equipment. So it's just really bad air for them to breathe. So anyways, switching to electric tools is a great way to go. Adapting to the changing climate wherever you live. In the West Coast here, we're conserving our water, we're thinking about fire-wise strategies for our home, and we're preparing for emergency scenarios. So there I am with my go bag packed. And then meeting your neighbors. So my sweet neighbor Tia and I knocked on 52 doors, that's what that little map is, to invite people over to a climate and cocoa party, not a climate and compost. That wouldn't be as fun. So it was really sweet. Our first meeting was really sweet. And then we invited more people over another time to do a fire-wise demonstration. So it's just been a really nice way to connect with people. And in 2020, of course, we had the Alameda fires where we lost 2,600 homes in our valley. And the community support that happened at that time was off the charts amazing. Like, we were there for each other. So just making these connections now in case of emergency is also just a wonderful thing to have, those relationships. Do individual actions matter? I would say yes. I think they totally matter. Last I checked, communities are made up of individuals. So it matters in a couple different ways. One is that it opens minds, and the first mind that is usually opened is your own. The second thing is that it shows people that there's another way that's possible. It can influence people. And the third thing is that action will make you feel better. It really does. Inaction just breeds hopelessness and apathy and makes you feel like it's not worth it. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So Greta was right. Action can breed the hope. Keep an eye out for signs that we are on this shifting from the individual to the community. Look for lots of people on their bikes. Look for lots of people at the compost drop-off. That place is going crazy right now. It's super exciting. And I also want to just address that shifting habits is hard. It's something that when you're on autopilot, it's the easy thing to do, and you have to kind of stop, pull yourself out of that business as usual routine and make that shift. But it's so worth it. I believe communities can and should lead the way. And I think that, yes, in action at all the different levels matters. So it matters at the community level, it matters at the city and town level, it matters at state, federal, global. And policies are important. It's important that we get businesses on board. It's also important that we think about equity, because oftentimes the people who have least contributed this are absolutely the ones that are the most impacted. But if we can bring our community together and do this, we will see real change, and we can inspire that hope in other people. I want to give you a hopeful update to that dreadful RCP 8.5 pathway that we saw from 2013, just published, fresh off the press in April 2026. Scientists are saying that that is now implausible because of all the amazing work that has happened around the globe. So that means all the solar panels, all the clean cooking stoves, all the policies that have helped, all the heat pumps installed, all the EVs, all the batteries, all of it has added up. And they've said, this is no longer that terrifying scenario. We're a little bit less than that. Yes. I shouted with happiness when I saw this news. I know this graphic is a little crazy, but that's the heart of it, is that it's really good news. We've gone through a lot. We've covered a lot of material. I want to thank Greta for inspiring me. I want to thank my parents for instilling me a sense of greater purpose. I want to thank scientists. I want to thank teachers. I want to thank people who have taught great climate communication. I want to thank my community members. I want to thank everyone who's on this path right now. And I also want to thank the nonprofits that are doing so much to help people on this journey. I have hope in my heart, in large part because I take action every day. And I feel hopeful about the future for my son, because I just have to believe that I can do something, then that we can do something. So here's my seed to plant with you. If something speaks to you, give it a try. Maybe it's carpooling or composting or test riding an e-bike. Plug in solar panels. Amazing. Oh my gosh, there's some really cool things to look into. Please share this speech. It is so important that we expand the circle and invite more people to be a part of this conversation. And I believe climate success is possible. It starts with a village, and we can do it. Thank you.